Who in here has ever been on a vacation? You have?
Yes.
Has anybody traveled by themselves before? No? Some have. I would expect some adults have, but we haven't. Have you guys ever packed your own bag?
Yes. Yes.
You have?
Yes.
Do you know what goes in your bag?
Yes. Toys.
Clothes?
And
Toys?
And video.
Video games?
Fried chicken.
I don't know about fried chicken now.
My
A switch? Oh, I see what you're saying. I was thinking a switch. I didn't want a switch in my bag when I was little. I can tell you that. Well, now look here. Miss Michelle tried to remember when I was your age. It was kind of hard. It was a little while ago. And pack a bag like I did back then. So I tried to think through what I used to pack a bag. Now, I zipped mine up this time. I think when I was little, I couldn't zip a bag because I just threw stuff in there. So, do you want to see what Miss Michelle packed in the bag? I tried to do like some important stuff in here. Okay. My mom made me pack a brush, toothbrush, toothpaste. Is this fun stuff? No. I didn't think so. Somebody said clothes, right? Pack some clothes. Night clothes. Yeah. Who's my favorite animal? You can tell, so I did that. Yes, packed that. Yes. Yes, my favorite pillow. Sometimes because feel that. That's so soft. I could put my pillow in that, and that would still feel so soft, like a cloud. Yes. Okay. So I have some of those things. Some fun, some not so fun. Oh, then yes.
Oh, that's cute. That is cute.
Do you think I brought enough?
Yeah.
Because I know when I go to bed, I like to make a nest with my stuffed animals, right?
Yeah.
They had to be in a certain place. Am I right? Am I right? I mean, be real. Yes. Important. Back now, when I was little, no video games. We didn't even have little pocket stuff, but we had. Right? So I brought my activity books. I mean, we had the big activity books and crayons. We learned how to play I Spy. I brought my storybooks. I got to read. He found his tail at the end, Candyman. So there you go. I think that's all. Now, did I pack smart? No. I didn't get a blanket. Well, it was packed pretty tight. I zipped it. But I mean, I left some stuff out, right? So did I check it again? I promise there's nothing else that's going to fall out. Nothing. So did I make some smart choices? What? Wait. Did you see any spare shoes? Oh. No shoes. What if it rains? I didn't even bring a raincoat or an umbrella. I left some stuff out, didn't I? Some important stuff out. I don't think I made 4 stuffed animals. Do you think I brought enough clothes?
No.
Depends. What if we're going to the beach? I forgot my Bible. I forgot, who knows? What if I'm going to Alaska? Right. What if I'm going to Alaska?
Credit card.
My credit card?
Look, it's right there. It's right there.
You little travel genius. You're travel agents in your blood. Yeah, I forgot all kinds of stuff. I don't think I was too smart. If I were going to Alaska, did I bring a coat?
No.
No sweater, no coat. I think I may have messed up some stuff here. So I'm going to tell you this, and I've got another question. We'll come back to thinking about this in a minute. I've got another question. And I asked this to my Sunday school class. So if you're in my Sunday school class over here, you might remember this from a few weeks ago when we were studying God is our rock and fortress, our refuge. Here's my question. Have you ever been scared?
Yes.
You have? Okay. Well, that's good. You've been scared? Remember, we talked about this in our class. What do you do when you're scared? Let's think about it. Don't wait. Shh. What do we do when we're scared? There are all kinds of reactions, right? I can tell you this, because there are different things to being scared by. If somebody jumped out at us, we might scream, right? Yeah, we might scream. Or maybe if there's a weird sound and we suddenly get scared by that weird sound. I've heard different things hit my house before, and then I'm like slowly creeping toward it to check it out because I know a booger's going to jump out and I'd be scared all over again, right? So we've got something like that. What about being scared of the dark?
You would just get flashlight.
I was when I was little, and I had a night light.
That's good.
I had night lights. What about being scared by small, tiny places? My mother is, and she's lots older than me, so she's scared by tight places. We've talked about those bugs, and the very first bug that we saw on this entire Vacation Bible School was that giant cockroach. Yeah, now, I freeze. I'd freeze up. I'm not going to move. I'm just like, So what am I more scared of? Killing it or letting it live? Yeah, I've got to make a choice right there. That's really bad either way I go. So we've got some choices. But now those are like, I'm going to say some bigger fears, because we could take that approach. We could talk about snakes.
Ooh,
Not,
snake.
not,
I've seen a snake.
I've seen snakes. Not happy about a snake.
I've seen a big snake.
Yeah, yep.
I saw a snake up close.
But there's also other kinds of being scared or fear. I'm going to use this word fear. And that could be like trying something new to eat. That's not a big bad scared. But I know some people are like, yeah, no thanks. What are you scared of?
Dark.
Not liking it?
Dark.
So there could be something like trying something new, like a new skill, like riding a bike. Something like football, going out for a football team or something. There would be something like that. Maybe, especially when you're this age or smaller, you get a new chore, a new job to do at home, like sweeping the floor. Well, I don't know how to do that, Mama. I don't know if I can do that. And we want to automatically kind of default to, I don't know, no. Can she do it?
Yes.
Can he do it? I don't know how. And that's not even trying to do anything. Sometimes we don't even want to try because we don't know how, or we don't know what's going to happen. That's a kind of fear. So we've got to think about that. What are we really, really scared of? That brings us to our person in our Bible story today. What was her name? Esther. What word did we use to describe Esther? Brave. Yeah, so, and all of those fears that I was talking about, nothing was really life-threatening, was it? We have to stop and think, we really haven't had to face that. I know, Miss Lori, you said we were talking about in China The missionaries meeting like this would be illegal in China, be thrown in jail. Our life would be forever changed in jail. We wouldn't be going home to our beds tonight. We got to think about sometimes our choices and what it means to be brave. So Esther, the girl in today's story, she had choices to make. Just like I had choices when I packed my bag, I have choices when I have my fears. Am I going to try this? Am I not going to try this? Am I going to freeze? What am I going to do? What are we going to do in some of our life's choices? So Esther, what do we know about Esther? Well, let's look at verse 7. I'm going to read it for you. Verse 7 says, and he brought up Hadassah. That was Esther's name, in her Jewish name, meaning myrtle. And he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, the Persian name, that means star, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother. If you don't have a mom or dad, what are you? An orphan. She's an orphan, no mom or dad. She just had a distant cousin, Mordecai. And the maid was super duper ugly. Is that what it said?
No.
Is that what the Bible said? No, she was beautiful. It said the maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter. He loved her. He cared about her enough that he was going to raise her like his own daughter. So, do you think Esther appreciated that? She was an orphan, no mom or dad. I mean, if that was her only family, don't you think that was pretty special to her?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I think probably even more special. It's like, I remember when I lost my grandmother. I never knew her husband, my granddad. And when I lost her, I was, how old are you guys over here? Like 11? Yeah, 10, 11. I was 12. And that same year, I lost my other grandfather, so I had one grandparent left that year. I loved my last grandparent so much more because I understood loss. It was the first time I think that had ever sunk in as a kid, and that means so much more when you experience something like that. So, do you think she loved Mordecai?
Yes.
Probably. Yeah, I would think so. Well, then we have to see the big Persian Empire that's going on. Switch gears for just a minute. And we have King Ahasuerus, or Xerxes, as we learned. He had two names, like Esther had two names. King Ahasuerus. His queen disobeyed him. Whoa. Disobedience. She was banished. So no queen, no more. And after a while, and you have to remember, a king in those days, absolute authority. Off with your head. He could do anything. He could do anything. He had that much power. So after a while, after this previous queen, Vashti, after she was removed, banished, taken away, then King Ahasuerus wanted a new queen. So he sent out a royal decree, a command. Do you think, after what I just said about a king, do you think you can refuse him?
No, ma'am.
No. Do you want to live? You got to think about that. If you don't want to live, sure, go ahead, disobey. But that's another lesson to think about. Your choices will have consequences, live or die sometimes, and we're going to see that. So, the royal command, all the fair young maidens versions, the best of each province, oh my word, and the provinces went from India. If we look over there in Asia, it's the point in the bottom, from India all the way over into Africa, Ethiopia. That's in Esther 1, verse 1. That's a huge amount of not just one country, countries. That's a big kingdom. He controlled so much. So he wanted the prettiest of the pretty to come. So she was one of so many fair maidens that went to the palace for a whole year, leaving Mordecai, who has raised her now, her last family, for a whole year. I'm going to ask you this. Do you think she was scared?
Yes.
So I think this might have been the first time she had to be brave. She was going to a palace, not her people, although she might have been used to that there in Persia. So we have to stop and think. She started showing some elements of bravery, I think, way back here. So for a whole year, she had to leave Mordecai. Before she left, Mordecai gave her one thing to do to remember. And it was, don't let on to anybody that she's a Jew. Why? 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 I don't know if Mordecai even told her why. Maybe he responded and said, because I told you so. Ever heard that before?
No.
Yeah, you're just supposed to obey, though. I think she had a choice right here to obey or not to obey. She could have gone, I'm a Jew. She could have told a whole year in the palace to keep that a secret from, but she's my best friend. Do you think she would have gotten close to some of the girls there? A whole year. Mordecai told me not to say anything. Is she going to obey him? I think a lot of this with her bravery came down to, am I going to obey or not? Am I going to disobey? There would be some consequences. She didn't know what the consequences would be right here. This early in the story, no clue. This story could have ended so much more different if she had disobeyed. But Mordecai said, don't let on. Mordecai checked on her all throughout that year. And after a whole year of being beautified, even made even more beautiful at the palace, she's got her turn to be presented to the king. King Ahasuerus saw her. Let's see, verse 17. You want to hear his reaction? Yeah. And the king loved, not liked, not thought she was kind of pretty. And the king loved Esther above all the women. Something stood out about Esther, and she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. Oh, love at first sight.
I think Vashti like is tall.
You think she was tall? I don't even know how beautiful Esther was. We can only imagine. Maybe it was her spirit that was so beautiful. Maybe it was, sometimes we can see some people in their eyes, how pretty they are. It's a sweet spirit. It's a character that shows forth. So we want to think about, are we acting like little ladies? Are we acting right? I think she could have strutted in there and just like, don't pick. She didn't want a whole year away from Mordecai. She started out the story, I don't want to leave you, Mordecai. I could just imagine that. If she had her chance to go back home, she could have, who knows? But the king loved her more than all of the others. Love at first sight. But that's not where the story ended, is it? Mm-mm. There is a bad guy in the story. Do you remember the bad guy's name?
No.
King Esther, no. Logan? Not King Haman, just Haman. Haman. He was the king's advisor. He was an advisor to the king. So, not a good guy. He hated Mordecai. He thought Mordecai should give him more honor. Haman, I think, we would say like this, he had a big head. He just probably wanted all the attention. He wanted respect, but not in a good way. Recognition, fame. He wanted to be it, the it person. And Mordecai did not bow down to him. And Haman hated it. And because he knew Mordecai was a Jew Who else is a Jew and related to Mordecai? Do you remember? Who was that? Esther. Yeah. But was she telling everybody she was a Jew right now? No, that was a big old secret. That was a big, big secret. So Haman was so angry at Mordecai, he wanted to hurt Mordecai, so he wanted to hurt all the Jews. So he tricked the king into passing this law to get rid of all the Jews. Wow. That's some pretty serious hatred. Haman had some choices, and he made bad choices. I'm also going to pause here and say King Ahasuerus had some choices. He had a bad advisor. Who are you going to go to for help? Are you going to have good friends or bad friends? I hope not bad friends. Bad friends. Haman didn't end up too good in this story, so we got to think about that. So Haman tricked the king into making a law, and now here's Esther. Oh my, I have kept this secret. She had a problem. Nobody knew that she was a Jew. They really didn't know she was Mordecai's cousin. Here's what the Bible says, because Mordecai knew this too. Mordecai said, chapter 2, verse 14, "Who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this?" Maybe you should be here at this moment for a specific reason. God put her there. We're going to be put in situations at a specific time in a specific place. You guys don't even know. You have no idea. It's going to be the right moment at the right time. My class in Sunday school, we've learned this. Does our Abba Father make mistakes? Nope. He loves us. The situation might be uncomfortable. It might be to help us grow. It might cause tears. It might cause some grief at the time, but it's always to make us more like Him, more Christ-like. So we have to stop and think, why am I going through this? But Esther responded to Mordecai through some servants and said, "Go, this is what I want you to do. Go gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan," this is the city, "and fast." What does it mean to fast?
It means to not eat.
Not eat. I was about to say backwards. Not eat. To fast. They had to fast and pray, not for 1 day, not for 2 days, 3 days. 3 days, no eating. And praying hard. "I also and my maidens will fast likewise, and I will go in unto the king." Do you think she was scared right here? No. Let me ask you this. I think she was.
Yes.
What happened to Queen Vashti when she disobeyed?
No. And because they
She got banished. She was removed from the kingdom. If she goes into the king and he says, "I don't want to see you, why are you?" He could do anything to her. Her life was in his hands at that moment. Kind of scary. I'm sure she's thinking about what happened to Queen Vashti. So she says this, "I will go in unto the king, which is not according to the law, and if I perish, I perish." I think it's like let me say this. I think that if she were around today and we talk about having life verses, I think her life verse would be Hebrews 13:6. "The Lord is my helper. I will not be afraid." The New Testament wasn't written then. "The Lord is my helper. I will not be afraid." Now, I think she was probably still going to be afraid, but the first part is what we want to latch on to. Who's my helper? Jesus. The Lord is my helper. God is my helper. We've got to think about that. So she went into the king. Everything wound up being okay there at the banquet. I'm sure Haman was probably thinking, "Oh yeah, I'm at a banquet. I'm at a banquet." And then Esther made the plea for her life and her people's life. I'm going to die. And the king, "What? Who would dare to do this to you, my queen?" Who? This Haman is that man. I can just imagine then Haman's pretty scared. But this point comes all the choices before him that led him to right here. Bad choices. Hatred led him to that moment. He's going to face some consequences. Hatred. Hatred is not good. We all have choices, everyday choices. I hate you. Is that right to say? No. We want to honor God with our everyday choices. So I'm going to say this. It's going to take a brave person to stand up for God and do right. Choices. We all have them. Starting with, I think, the most important choice. Have we ever asked Jesus into our heart? The Lord is my helper. Well, is he in your heart to help you? Have you asked him into your heart?
Yes.
That's going to make a big, big difference as you go through life. And then once you do that, are you going to follow his commandments? We have choices to obey or disobey.
Okay.
Just like all of these things that Miss Michelle had packed in her bag, some were good choices, some were bad choices. We will have consequences for our bad choices. And if we never have Jesus in our heart, Mrs. Lyons said this last night, God does not want us to go to hell. And that's the consequence for saying, no, God, no. Or I'll do it later, I'm not worried about it right now. My friend's not, so I'm not. That's a no. Are we going to make good choices?
Yes.
Brother Jerry?